Mike's Daily Podcast.
Here we are on a Sunday, on the Game of Thrones Sunday. Everybody excited to find out who wins on that.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Who wins all the dragons and the eunuchs and the people that are dead, and they do the show and it's inside of your head. You have watched it because apparently everybody in the world has watched that show, but I don't care because I am someone that doesn't watch organized religion television shows. Wait, that's organized religion television shows.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Let's see. How did my friend put it? She does not watch any shows
Mike's
that are
Daily
made by
Podcast.
a major corporation, I think is what she said.
Yeah!
I don't watch any organized corporate television shows, I think is what she said. At any rate, it's true. HBO is a huge Maliathon, and it takes over the world, as does Netflix, as does Hulu, now owned by Disney. What the heck? So, and Catch-22 is getting advertised all over the place. The Coen brothers did it, and George Clooney. And look, I loved Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But some of the other stuff Coen brothers / George Clooney have done together, I don't know. But Catch-22, I don't know. There's some depressing stuff that I do not want to watch. That's on Hulu. Now, Netflix has this show about a homeless woman who lives in a house by herself that she squatted in. And by squatting, not the thing you're thinking of, probably. That you'd go, ooh. No, she lived in it, and it wasn't her house, and then she died in it, and from her diary... See how happy and uplifting this is? Apparently, she could have gone across the street and gotten help from the people across the street. She was mentally ill, etc. I don't need to watch this kind of stuff. I don't think that's what I need. I don't think podcasts that depress you, like this one...
And here's today's podcast picture.
Are what you need. Actually, I'm going to uplift you now. I'm going to talk about things that I think you might find interesting and entertaining. But first, this interesting picture from Alameda. Oh, what is this place called? It's in the harbor in Alameda. I went to this place 2 years ago today. Most of my pictures lately have been from, well, let's see, last week we had some recent pictures, mostly with Basil the Boxer, who's going to bark for you in a moment. And what he's up to, he's a happy dog, and that's uplifting, isn't it? Isn't that uplifting? Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is over at Crab Cove. And you're actually looking in this picture at Balina Bay in Alameda. It's a beautiful little area. Robert W. Crown State Marina. That's right, Basil. We had a good time. We were walking there one day, and you can see that picture at MikesDailyPodcast.com. I hope the pictures you see there are uplifting. Now, for the thing that is a little bit, it kind of depressed me today, and I want to tell you how I turned it around, and it made me think about something. So Basil, in the other pictures, he's not in this picture today, but in some of the other pictures that I was looking at, he has just a leash attached to his collar. And you might be saying, okay, what's the big deal about that? Well, when I first got Basil at about 1.5 years, 10 years ago, he pulled a lot. If I tried to walk him with just his collar, with the leash attached to the collar, he would pull on it with his neck. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how it might be hurting his neck. I didn't like the habit he was getting into of just pulling with his neck. So I talked to several people, and harnesses were introduced to me. And so I put him in a harness, and whenever he pulled, his whole upper torso would get pulled back. And it wasn't one of these spike collars that, cut into his skin or anything like that. It was just a gentle reminder with the harness holding him back. And it was very helpful because when they're young and spunky and they want to, rough house with other dogs, that's good to have. It holds them back. It's a safety mechanism. And so I had him in the harness for many years. And then about 2 years ago, I was noticing, it takes forever to put him in the harness. And when he's running around with it, The harness seems to be awkward on him. So I stopped putting the harness on him. And at this point, he had stopped pulling on the collar. So I just attached the leash to the collar, and he was walking like a well-behaved dog with just the collar. And then when we go to places, there are several areas around the Bay Area where you can let your dog run off leash. So I could just easily unclasp him and off he could go running. It was great. So we did that for a while and then I remembered why I had to put him back into a harness. And that was because we were walking one day and my foot. So with all the walking Basil's done, and this is why I'm not that depressed that he can't walk anymore. I mean, he can walk with my help, with the harness that I put. Now he's onto a different type of harness where it's on his back legs that I hold him up with. And so he's able to walk by me holding him up from the back end, like luggage. We joke we should rename him Samsonite, or Samson. But yeah, he's gotten used to it. And I was talking to a vet this past week in Danville about that. I only bring up Danville because it's a neat little town. And the Eugene O'Neill Park that I talked about on the air today on KKDV is not very big, but it's very cool. Eugene O'Neill, a playwright that wrote What's the Iceman Cometh, a bunch of other ones. And he's well known in Danville. He has long since passed away, but so I'm holding up Basil now from the back harness, but 2 years ago he could still walk. Although I was having difficulty walking because I walked Basil so much in his life and I was wearing horrible shoes, and I ended up destroying my feet. I really hurt my feet bad, and I had to go see a foot doctor, and she put me in a boot. A boot, not a Canadian word that I'm trying to say about. I say a boot, an actual boot. And I'm walking, and I was trying to make a joke about Canadians, and that failed. And I'm walking with this boot on, and after a while, my foot got better, and I still wore kind of these big shoes to protect my foot, but they were getting better and better. And then all of a sudden, one day, I'm walking along, and there's this nice lady with her 2 dogs, or did she have 3? And one of them was bad. The others were nice. But this one dog in the group suddenly decides to lunge at Basil, and they start to fight. Basil's defending me. And I'm pulling Basil back, trying to pull him back. And I twisted my foot. I hurt my foot again as we go outside a cafe. Anyway, we were bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Ton today. And suddenly, after all those months of getting my foot to feel better, it was hurting again. Had a, a fracture in it. It was fractured in the muscle somewhere, as I recall. I have it written down somewhere. From memory, that's what I'm telling you. So believe me. And when that happened, and Basil was just on his collar with the leash, I said, he's back in the harness. So I put him back in the harness, and then he was in the harness up until probably about the time his back legs really started to go with the degenerative myelopathy, which is a nervous situation, a nervous system where his brain can't communicate with his back legs like they used to. He can't control his muscles like he used to. And so he needs that extra help with the harness. At any rate, my point with all of this is that the things we believe, the things that we do because we've always did them, change. Basil, for the longest time, was just in a harness. And then he suddenly had freedom from the harness with just his collar. And he could run around and be free. And that was a choice. It was a decision I made where I reassessed the situation. And I go, look, he's doing pretty good. And then he was off and he was free. Of course, then I had to reassess the situation again when he destroyed my foot again by getting into that well, it was probably the other dog's fault. But at any rate, he got into that tussle, and thus I had to put him back in the harness. But then, now he's in a harness to hold him up. And that's probably going to be, unfortunately, the way it is until Basil leaves this earth, but which will hopefully be a long time from now. But at any rate, we need to reassess things constantly in our lives. Reassess. Does it still make me happy? Does it still make sense? do I have to make a tweak? Do I have to make a change? I fired off a very terse email to my staff yesterday because things were not going in a good direction with a couple things. And I said, hey, we've got to reevaluate, reassess, and change stuff. And then I ended the email by saying, if you have any ideas, please let me know. If you have any thoughts on the matter, please submit these ideas to me, and we'll consider them and maybe put them into effect. We do have to reassess things from time to time. Okay, that is also what we have to do to be aware of things like, let's see if I can slide into this topic, Pied Pipers. In our world, we have a president some would call a Pied Piper. People are following him. You know, this is not the first president that's been that way. The last one, too. People just sort of follow certain presidents without questioning, without going, oh, yeah, that's odd. That investigation, no, that's all a witch hunt. They just excuse things. Well, and then there are some people that I notice in life that people just blindly follow without questioning, without going, maybe what I'm thinking, maybe, in other words, some people don't reassess the situation and just blindly follow some people. It's weird, though. When you're trying to tell the person to reassess the situation because they're following a Pied Piper, because they're not thinking when they are following, they're just following blindly. And that person that's the lemming that's following will not listen to you, will not consider anything you're saying, and not go, oh yeah, you might be right. Yeah, no, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt. It's bizarre. I just think we need to be aware of the Pied Pipers in our world, the ones that we blindly follow. Reassess that. And then here's one other thought for you today, and that is my lovely lady friend has been lately, she's got an earworm stuck in her head, and it's an old earworm. It's the Beatles, Obla-dee, Obla-da, Life Goes On. Oh, how the life goes on. Now I've stuck that in your ear, sorry. But yeah, that song is catchy, and it's also, the title was used in a late 80s, early 90s television show called Life Goes On, and it was about a family. I believe the child had some kind of developmental disability of some sort, and it was the brother that had the developmental disability, and then the sister was the young sister was the one that tried to keep everything together, keep it all going in the family. And I remember the sister, I forget that actress's name, was she in a TV show a really Christian TV show called Sabrina? Or, no, not Sabrina, something like that. Serena? I forget, where she's a pioneer woman, sort of like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. She's out on the open range by herself, and there's all these Christian elements put into the storyline. So this actress that plays her is now on Hallmark and does some kind of mystery show. And back in the day when I remember her being popular, when she first came out, she was so young. And now, this is why I know I am so old, is she looks old. And I'm like, wait a minute. I remember when she was this young girl, and now she looks older. She's old, and this is something that's... I still think she's very attractive. I'm not putting down her looks. I'm just saying that we get old. And for those of you that think that it ain't going to happen, that Taylor Swift is going to look the way she does forever, that she's never going to get that second chin, that she's never going to get that... There's this thing that happens, and it's happened to me too. As you get older, you've got so many times in your life that you have that serious face. That your serious face, like your happy, smiling, happy-go-lucky face, that still looks like... You still look, when you're smiling, for a lot of you, you look like you did back when you were in high school. Because it's that youthful... I think smiling brings us back to our youth. You look at old people that are smiling and laughing and having a good time, they look like little kids. But when you get that serious face, when you get that face of just like you're tired and life is beating you and you're worn out, that's when you look so old and aged. And we never post those pictures of ourselves on Facebook or Instagram. We never post the serious face. We always post the happy face. And maybe that's good. We need more of that in today's world. But that fascinates me in that is where we look old. And maybe that is what we should try to avoid. There are times when we should be serious, sure. But maybe life should not be taken as seriously as we take it. Life is a joke, and a lot of us don't get the joke. And we need to laugh more because life doesn't take us seriously. And we need to take... And there are times when you need to, of course, but you should also laugh a lot of the stuff up. We need to laugh more is what I'm trying to say. Laugh. Though your heart is breaking. But at any rate, that's all I wanted to tell you today. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. Hey, speaking of which, look who just walked over to us here outside a cafe anyway. Hello, Michael Masters, Madame Rootabega. And yes, life is a big crazy thing. How do you take it seriously? Oh, that's the question I think I was trying to ask. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, I think people should call you about this topic today.
Yeah, topic. Do you know that? Okay, they could call me at 336MM Daily. That's 336MM Daily. Okay, I think... Oh, one last thing. So I don't have kids. Maybe this is why I do not get this at all. This is something I don't laugh at. You should laugh at life, but here's what I don't laugh at, and that is parents trying to make jokes about being a parent. Robin Williams used to do that. He'd talk about how when his baby would poop, it'd be this weird radioactive poop or whatever, and I never found that funny. I don't find Jeff Foxworthy's comedy about kids funny, or Bill Engvall. Maybe that's just not my kind of humor. I don't know. But I heard some comedian today on From Here with Chris Thiele, that NPR it's a Minnesota Public Broadcasting or some station. Anyway, it's on Sundays. And this comedian was on doing his whole shtick about, oh, my kid, I've got 4 boys and one's throwing up and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this isn't funny. You know why it's not funny? I will tell you after that dramatic pause, where actually I coughed pretty badly off mic, is that when you became a parent, you signed up for all of that crap that's happening to you. I'm not laughing at you. I am not laughing at your absurdity because you signed up for that. And in the end, I'm jealous because you have a legacy. You have kids that will grow up and someday remember you after you're long dead. I don't have that. So stop making jokes about it and stop making money off of your comedy that is not funny to me because I'm not a parent. And because in the end, all of this insanity that's in your life was because you chose it. Hey, thanks for choosing to listen to this show. Next show, it'll be Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the Engineer. What do you think? 336MM Daily. Take it away, Eric.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!